Great, so good
Okay,
afternoon.
this meeting is being recorded.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the August 17, 2023 LSP Board Regulations Committee meeting. I am Millie Garcia Serrano, and for the last 3 weeks, I have been serving as Acting Executive Director of the LSP Board. As always, the board encourages interactive participation, and to that end, I encourage you to turn your camera on, as well as ensure that your cell phones are on silence mode. So we'll take a minute just to make sure that our phones are on silence. So with that, I will proceed with a roll call to establish who from the board is participating in today's meetings and to also confirm quorum. So please say here or present when I call your name. Gail Batchelder.
Here.
Kirk Franklin.
Here.
Patrick Heron.
Here.
David Austin.
Yes.
Jamie Smith.
Present.
Kathy Campbell.
I'm here.
Greg McBride. If we can mark him as absent. Paul McKinley. I know he's absent. And Craig Ellis.
Here.
So that establishes quorum, and we will continue on with today's proceedings. So Chris, in addition to you, would you mind also letting us know who is participating in today's meeting?
Yes, from the public, we have Michelle Zelsch, Brian Roden, Kristen Lefebvre, Krista Trapp, Nancy Fitzpatrick, Lori McCarthy, Diane Baxter, John Handrahan, Wendy Rundle, and that's it.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so before we get started, I just wanted to take a minute I apologize. So I'm calling this Regulations Committee meeting to order, and the Regulations meeting shall be marked at 12:07 p.m. And before we get started, I just wanted to take a minute to reintroduce our board staff. First, Matt Line, who is the board's investigator and the continuing education coordinator, and also Natasha Dix, who is our program coordinator. I would like to comment that their support to the LSP board and its operations have been outstanding, and I'm very grateful for that. So Matt and Natasha, if you want to add anything else, otherwise we will move forward. Okay. I also just wanted to inform you that I regret that on June 30, 2023, Ms. Debbie Listernick, one of our most senior keyboard members, tendered her letter of resignation after many years of service. On behalf of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the LSP board, I want to extend a message of gratitude and appreciation from all of us here at the board, and I'm sure also by extension the board members. She's done extraordinary work. Her depth of information has been extraordinary, so hence why she was not part of the roll call. We will talk a little bit more about this later on, but we do have a process for vacancy filling, so we will get into that a little bit later. I wanted to also, as part of this regulations committee meeting, talk for a few minutes with regards to what the board staff would like to do. And this is something that I will be seeking opinions from all the board members. As you know, over the past year, the board staff, together with its members, we've been working very hard to arrive at a set of draft regulations that look and envision a goal of having them made available for public comment and eventual final version of the regulations promulgation. Much work has gone over the years, focusing on the redesign, the review of the existing regulatory citations language, as well as ensuring that we have discussion around the formulation of any definitional, substantive, stylistics comments. During and after COVID, our regulations committee met as one of various LSP board committees. We know that. I want to underscore that this effort stemmed from the need to update and streamline the board regulations in order to eliminate antiquated requirements and also incorporate new technology, all as part of a directive from past and present administrations, executive orders that pointed to that. So today I'm happy to report that this push for automation and modernization has paid off and the future is here now. Today we will be hearing directly from members of the Executive Office of Energy and Environment, EAIT, who will speak directly to the launching of a new system designed to automate and modernize our licensing program. And as a result, after much deliberation, given that what this new system will mean in terms of how our current LSP board regulatory citations read, board staff will be resetting the regulations revisions process to accommodate for much more needed internal and external consultation and involvement in order to arrive at a set of regulations that capture the mechanics of the new electronic licensing process. I'm also very cognizant that over the several past years, various constituency groups, including the LSP Association and individual constituents, offered suggestions for amendments to 309 CMR 1 through 9. More specifically, on January 31st, 2014, the board received a set of comments from the LSP Association in response to a past solicitation by the board for comments on our existing regulations. Likewise, individual constituents also offered comments, including many revisions about continuing education requirements, among many other items. Through this suggestion solicitation process, the board was made aware of key topical areas of concern, opportunities for improvement, and streamlining the regulations. So therefore, in consideration of the significant process changes that will guide the board's licensing transactions from paper to electronic, and I want to say more on that, a paper option appears that will still be available, but that's more for IT to discuss. And the fact that our board reports to a Commonwealth agency that places a very high value and heightened emphasis on public outreach and involvement on matters like regulatory revisions, the LSP staff is resetting the regulations revisions process in the following ways. Educating ourselves and the public regarding ASILA ePlace as the new electronic system that will guide our licensure. This education will help guide our reg revisions process in a way that reflects the underpinnings of the online licensing system. Number 2, inviting interested stakeholders to submit feedback to the board regarding areas for revision considerations. Past themes have included revising continuing education credits, refining the complaints review process. It could be that some of these suggestions may already have been, they're no longer relevant, but we still want to hear from the membership. We want to hear from everybody in general. We want to hear from the board also, clearly. So resetting the clock will be important. We want to invite public, internal, external comment. And finally, to ensure that we give hyper-focused attention to this reg revision effort on an expedited track, I am looking at this time for volunteers, board member volunteers, to reactivate the regulations committee. The vision is to have a regulations committee that will report out to the full board, sort of akin to the same committee that we have for the exam. And therefore, this regulations committee could be comprised of 4 to 5 members of the board, plus the board staff, as well as EAIT, so that they can give direct input on sections that speak to licensing processes. And finally, a process for external input from constituents will be devised. So we will be working on that. Board staff will not be eliminating any of the very important past work that has taken place already. We've done a great job in terms of addressing a lot of sections that have really advanced and reflected comments that were at play. But again, with ASILA ePlace, we are really in a very important junction here to get the definitions that match with the system. So we will be revamping this process. So I'm calling for volunteers as part of this regulations committee meeting. And you can either send me an email or you can publicly let me know, looking for 4 to 5 volunteers. And I'd like to reflect that so I can schedule a meeting and get started on this process.
Hi, Millie. It's Kathy Campbell. I'm happy to serve on the Regulations Committee.
Yeah,
Thank
hi,
you,
Millie,
Kathy.
it's Gail, and I would also be happy to serve.
Terrific.
Yeah, it's Craig. I'm happy to do it as well.
Thank you, Craig. We have room for 2 more if need be, and then this group would be reporting to the full board. And I look forward to scheduling this meeting very shortly.
This is Jamie. I can do it as well.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, so Kathy, Gail, Craig, and Jamie, your service is much appreciated, and just be on the lookout for an email from me so we can get started. Okay, so let's see. With this, I would like to end this Regulations Committee meeting at 12:16 p.m. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to David.
The continuing ed committee meeting? Sure, we can start. It's 12:16. I assume there's no changes to the agenda, no announcements or old business. We'll just go right into the new business.
Yes, David, my only announcement is that Matt Line, the continuing ed coordinator, is a resource to this conversation if you or any of the members have a question. And just to also reiterate that I stepped down as chairperson of the board, therefore I do not have voting power. And I just wanted to make that noted as part of the meeting minutes. Thank you.
So for the roll call, which I'll have to do unfortunately because we're not in person, is Patrick, Kirk, Gail, Kathy, Craig, and Jamie. Is that everyone? Looks like it is. So there were 9 requests for approvals that came in. The first one is Mass Geological Society field trip on Cape Cod. I assumed that if approved, it would be one course number with A, B, and C, because it looks like it's 3 different days and you could attend any of the 3 different days, one being 4, one being 5, and one being 4 credits. Is that how people
That
read
is
it?
what we're asking for, yes.
Okay, I make a motion to approve.
I second.
I sort of don't know if I should vote, so.
No, we don't want you to vote. It doesn't matter. Any discussion from the public or board? So a yes is approving. Patrick?
Yes.
David's a yes. Kirk?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
And Jamie?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And David, right?
Excuse me? Oh,
And
I
you're
said yes, sorry. I'm a yes.
Okay.
The second request is an LSPA offering in June, 1 technical credit. It was in person, groundwater modeling in Sampling, Massachusetts. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
I second.
Any discussions from the public or board? Yes is approving. Patrick?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Kirk?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
And Jamie?
Yes.
Great. The third request is from Mass DEP, 1.5 regulatory credits. It was formerly in person. It has a course number that was presented last April, and they want to have it as an on-demand format. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion from the public or the board?
Hey, David, for this one, the number of credits is a bit different than what was for the in-person. So I think this one will have an A after it, right? If approved.
Correct. I assume that.
Yep.
You're right. Thank you. A yes is approval. Patrick?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Kirk?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
And Jamie?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Another DEP offering, one DEP regulatory credit. In person, right? Yeah. It was
It's
formally
actually-
presented.
It's one,
It's actually
David,
one
it's
regulatory
one DEP and one
technical.
technical.
Right, I'm sorry, you're right. So they added a half hour to the previous offering and course number, and it's an in-person offering in September.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion from the board or public?
I assume this one will get another A designation as well.
That makes sense.
Yes, thank you. A yes is approval. Patrick?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Kirk?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
And Jamie?
Yes.
Great, thanks. Another reoffering, this is from the LSPA. 6 technical credits. It's going to be in person. And what's changed is that they have more recent case studies, but the rest of it is consistent. And I think we just approve it with a letter after the course number. I don't know what other folks thought.
Well, I had a question. If they're different case studies, how would it work? Somebody, when was the last time it was offered? Because that my comment may not matter. I believe it's said, but I just don't have it up.
I don't know.
Because if it's new case studies, a portion of it would be completely new. And people could take it, but I think it may not matter because it may have been so long ago that they can take it anyway. I thought I remember looking at
So
that.
any thoughts around that, Matt, in terms
Yeah, I'm
of?
looking now. I think it was 2017. It might have been last offered.
Mhm.
It was already has an A for the existing course, so maybe make this one a B. 1468B.
Sure.
I think that makes sense. It's using the same tool.
Yeah.
Nancy Fitzpatrick had some comments on the Mass DEP. Plans are to record this in-person course and, if sustainable, offer as a demand in future. The LSPA meeting with Liz and Ken speaking. And then she said the annual program update for the course. Just FYI.
Mhm.
And okay.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that yet. That's
Oh,
next.
oops, sorry.
Okay.
I'll make
I'm
a
looking
motion
at the.
to. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't see in their submittal when it was offered previously, but we can move on.
I'll make a motion to approve with the B designation.
I second it. Any discussions from the board or public? Approval is a yes. Patrick?
Yes.
David is a yes. Kirk?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And Jamie?
Yes.
Great. The next request is from Mass DEP, the annual program update at the LSPA membership meeting in September, in person and on demand, both formats, 1 DEP regulatory credit. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion from the board or public?
Wendy
Yes.
Rundle said the Forever Tool course was last offered in 2020.
2020, okay, thank you. I don't think that changes anything on our approval.
Well, that got to my point, is that because somebody can't take it, you know, they have to skip 2 renewal sessions. So somebody who took the first one could not, in the next renewal cycle, count this one. That was the point of my question, except that a third of it they could, theoretically. It would be new. It's just
I
we
just
have to
felt-
know.
Yeah, I mean, the tool is the same though. So, I don't know.
No. I'm just saying we have to make note of the fact that they can't. I mean, that they won't be able to use it if they used it last time.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So a yes is approving the request from DEP on the annual program update. Patrick,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Kirk,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
and Jamie.
Yes.
Great. Just 3 more. The annual conference out at UMass. Half credit for every hour technical for the platform sessions, and 1 credit for every hour for the workshops. I looked at all the workshops and they seem to be applicable. This
I
is
had a question
consistent
about
with
some of the
previous years.
the platform sessions, and how we handled that in the past. We don't have the content. We usually have of what papers are presented to know how it applies, but it seemed like some of them may not apply. And I can't remember how we've handled that in the past and said, well, this can't count towards credit. I believe we have said that, but I'm maybe confused.
We
some of the-
typically say it about the workshops on the first
Yeah.
day. Some of them were health and safety, but not for the general conference, which was why it was 1 for 2.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
that's what I
agree.
couldn't remember.
Yeah, I mean, no, Connecticut doesn't approve all the platforms because something may be specific to Mass, but I don't think there's any platforms that for half credit per hour is worth eliminating.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember what we've done in the past, and so that's fine. That was my thought.
Yeah, as Kathy has noted, some of the workshops weren't applicable in previous years. So I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any other discussion from the public or board? A yes is approving. Patrick,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Kirk,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
and Jamie.
Yes.
Great. The next one is from Mass DEP, PFAS Hot Topics. This is one of the workshops at the conference, live webinar, and then an on-demand content.
No.
So they're looking for 4 regulatory credits. DEP officials, 2 of them will be there throughout the entire 4 hours. And they're doing a half-hour presentation, and they were involved in the development of the course and approved the curriculum. People have thoughts on this?
I would make a motion to approve
Second.
all formats. Let me just,
There was a second?
Yes, second.
Okay, any discussions from the board or the public? A yes is approval. Patrick?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Kirk?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
And Jamie?
Yes.
Great. And the last one is one of the,
Hey, David, sorry to interrupt you. One thing I just want to mention on the one we just approved is the DP is requesting approval for on-demand recording. Does that change? Like, does that get an A after the fact, or do we have to do anything with that, or is that just automatic?
for all of these where we do webinar or in person, and then there's a later on-demand version, I think it has the letter after the number.
Okay.
So they know there's a different format.
So when we issue the attendance form, we issue them 3.
No, they will, a person will sign up, the person would be there live, or they'll sign up for the webinar, or they'll take it at a later date on demand.
Yeah, just to correct, I don't think we actually do the letter designation for the different formats because the whole purpose of having the same course numbers, you can't take it the same one multiple times. I think we do the letter designation if there is a course that is similar to a previously offered course that has had some minor changes to it.
Yeah, I think Jamie's correct.
Yeah, we've been doing this for years and I don't know the answer to that. So, yes. Thank you, Jamie, for the clarification.
Appreciate that.
So the last one is also from the DEP, PFAS case studies, 1 regulatory credit and half technical credit, and it's one of the platform sessions at the conference in person. So I guess if you sign up for this and you attend this platform session, you're going to get the 1.5 credits versus the half credit for the hour of attendance for the overall conference approval. Does that make sense
Yeah.
to folks?
I was going to say the thing is that, normally you can walk in and out of sessions and do a half a session or whatever. And so we just need to say you have to stay for the whole hour and a half.
Correct. Yep. They have to do the sign in and sign out. For anyone who registers for this, they have to be there for the hour and a half. Correct. So it's going to be different.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any other discussions from the public or board?
David, just before you take a final vote, for these DEP courses that have the split credits, there's been some confusion with some LSPs when they see DEP course on top of the attendance form. They think they get all their credits regardless if it's split or not. So we're gonna maybe modify the attendance form to show the split on the top of the form, or just highlight that that it is split and not just a DEP course for all the credits. So if anybody has any thoughts or opinions on that.
I think it's a good idea, given the past problems we've had with mistakes that people have made with regulatory credit versus DEP credit in particular.
I wonder if it wouldn't be worthwhile just to do 2 separate forms, just so it's abundantly clear.
That's more problematic, I think, for the course providers.
And just in general. Yeah, I don't think you need to. I think if the top of the form says DEP regulatory and technical credit, or something, I think you can figure out how to word it.
Right, right. So something at the top that specified that's got split credits, so it's not buried in the fine print down below about the split.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
Also,
So we will be working to draft something to share with the board members to ensure that you're satisfied with the way that this is going to be displayed.
That's great. Thank you for thinking of that. I don't know why they have the split, because all 3 presenters are from DEP. Why isn't it an hour and a half
Yeah, the request came in that way.
Yeah. I mean, all three
That's-
case studies are presented by DEP staff, ORS and Mass DEP.
Does
One
it
of them had
make
to do with
sense that-
surface water, so maybe they didn't think that would be a DEP regulatory credit worthy course.
Yeah, the other one's public supply and, well, I don't know if we've ever approved for more credit than it's been requested.
Well, actually, we might have, or we've gone back to them and asked and say, if you make the request, we'll approve it so that we don't have to vote again. I think
Yeah,
we've
because I
done.
mean, I knew there were 3 presenters, and it just dawned on me now that they're only asking for 1 credit and a half-hour technical.
Maybe somebody from Mass DEP who might be in attendance could respond real time, quasi real time.
I think Nancy's on the call.
Yeah,
She has to type in though, I think.
yes, she does. That's why I was thinking, take that when I said quasi real time, that's what it was.
Do you want to, when she types,
Yeah, Wendy Rundle just typed in
there some-
LSPA thinks it's a great idea, Matt, about indicating both DEP and technical credit at the top of the forms. Also, Greg McBride is on, but he can't talk because he's using the app and I don't know how to unmute him.
So on this course offering, do we want to table it until September and ask the DEP if they would like to request an hour and a half? Every half hour helps when it comes to regulatory credits.
I was gonna say, I think there are a lot of LSPs who would appreciate if we did that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not till the middle of October, so there's time to
Right.
reconvene.
Yep, agreed.
I'll make a motion to table it.
Second.
Great. So that,
Nancy Fitzpatrick said the mixed credits reflect the subject matter.
But if it's DEP doing it, I think we're okay with it being a DEP regulatory course, right? Because we can do, the LSP board can do regulatory courses that count as DEP regulatory in the past. So I think it should be okay. Because we do, DEP regulatory can be also be other regs. It doesn't have to be, I don't know. My feeling is it should count, but
Well, the
if there's
course is
an,
called.
I guess from the program regulatory standpoint, again, this is not to influence one way or another, just going back to meetings. We have had, for example, solid waste regulations that touch on adequately regulated, and those are 2 intertwining regulations. So that's just one example of where solid waste training might actually benefit the LSP practice, because you may have pre-post 1978 decisions that straddle both programs. Another example might also be for surface water or drinking water regulations that touch on 21E renderings that point to MCLs. So there's just a few examples of, it's not a perfect world in a bubble. You have other working sets of regulations that are invoked during the course of an LSP's opinion rendering.
yeah, I
And I
mean,
think
they're touching upon surface water, public water supply, and soil screening, leaching-based soil screening values. So I think we should encourage them to resubmit for an hour and a half, and most likely it'll get approved.
Nancy said, if the board wishes to approve the course for full 1.5 DEP credits, that is their prerogative. Our thought was that the first course was more focused fate and transcripts versus regulation, focused and transport versus regulation. If the board wishes to grant approval for 1.5 DEP credits, that is fine with us.
So do they have to resubmit a new request, or can we just approve for one and a half now and move on?
I don't see why we couldn't say we think it qualifies for 1.5 DEP regulatory credit, since
Okay.
it's DEP's. I mean, basically, if they're presenting, they're sanctioning their thoughts. And there's a lot of DEP regulatory courses that we've approved in the past. I can think of conceptual site modeling as number one that was a regulatory course.
Motion to approve 1.5 DEP credits.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussions from the board and public? A yes is approval for the 1.5 DEP regulatory credits. Patrick?
Yes.
David's a yes. Kirk?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
And Jamie?
Yes.
Great. That's the end of this meeting. Continuing ed, and the next meeting will be in September.
David, before you close out, I just wanted to process question with Greg McBride on the line. How would you like to handle, since he's a voting member, if he types in yes? I'm not sure if that might create a little bit of logistical issues. We do have quorum. I just want to remind people, but I just wanted to acknowledge, I know he doesn't have a voice because he's on the phone.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that he called in, but the voting's all done, so
We're good.
there's nothing else to vote on at the moment.
For the future, for the next meeting, for the board meeting.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, I know we've closed. I just want a little underscore here that the board will be, to remind the board members and the public that the full course listings will be updated and posted on the board website. So just a little advertisement there with regards to David's committee. Also, you've closed the meeting. There is a topic of the future meeting. We are again underscoring September 12, 2023. And I just wanted to bring up the fact that we have an opportunity for in-person that will be discussed at the next segment of this LSP meeting. Also, we are exploring other platforms that support hybrid and provide speaking opportunity so that we can move forward in a more instantaneous engagement with the public. Okay, so I'd like to turn it over to Jamie at this time. Professional Conduct Committee meeting.
Millie, this is Greg. Do you hear me now?
Oh, perfect.
We do.
Okay, good. Excellent.
Thank you so much for taking time.
Thank you, Chris, for your efforts there.
No problem.
I don't know why I don't have a phone, or anyway.
Okay.
So-
I'll call the Professional Conduct Committee meeting to order at 12:43. Are there any announcements to make?
I do have a quick announcement, but do we need a roll call? Or can we just articulate that we just did a roll call? I'm just going by past proceedings here.
I don't typically do a separate roll call for this, but we also often don't vote during the meeting anyway, so.
Okay. Very well. So I just wanted to note that Matt Line is a resource to this committee, again, available to answer any questions so long as they're not legal in nature. And I say this in his capacity as board investigator.
Okay. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Assuming not, move on to the meeting minutes. Those recordings are continuing to be posted on the website.
Correct. We have restructured, and you'll hear a little bit more from Mr. Michael Orcott. We have revamped the LSP webpage a little bit. We continue to work that, but right now the record shows that we have recording that's available for June 2023 on the LSP website.
Great. Okay. Assuming no old business, we'll just move on to the status of the cases. And who will provide a report on that? Will that be you, Millie, or Matt?
I will be doing the reporting with any support from Matt. There are very few changes from the last time. I will do a very quick summation and maybe resuscitating some of the information from June. So as you know, there are 4 complaints with an assigned CRT, and that stands for Complaints Review Team. There is 1 complaint that has an assigned committee. There are also, as you know, a number of complaints with no CRTs or screening teams at this time. And that's due to the fact that they need to be assigned to an attorney. In addition, once assigned to an attorney, they will need further review and following the process. One of the many responsibilities, as we know, of the board is to investigate, prosecute complaints, and post discipline. And we know how that goes. I mean, there's been questions from the public in terms of the process. I can basically sum it up very briefly. That once we have a complaint initiation, it's followed by board staff review, board professional conduct committee review, screening and/or complaint review team investigation, the non-recused board member review that determines, and then there's adjudicatory hearing process. And I just hear a little bit of a static there, so maybe it's me. I say this because I want to underscore the need of the importance of attorney presence and involvement. There's no doubt. In fact, the regulations call for an attorney as part of the CRT. And therefore, to that end, 3 weeks ago, support from EEA and Mass DEP, we moved forward with posting an attorney position. That position actually closed on the 11th of August. I have received a number of candidate responses. We are moving. So I don't know if there's a little bit of a.
I think somebody needs to be muted.
Just being mindful of that. We received candidates and we are moving in the process of expeditiously interviewing and hiring an attorney. So that will alleviate and help for us to move forward with all these cases. And I trust that we will have some real action here starting in September. Not that there hasn't been any real action, as I know legal proceedings and enforcement is a very slow process sometimes, but we are going to, at this moment, reactivate our efforts. So now I'm going to get into part B, which is the status of the active disciplinary cases updates. Under the old business, we currently have 10 active complaints at this time, and the board staff and members of the screening and/or CRT committees, we definitely need to reconstitute ourselves, come back to the fold, and jump on action to focus on these. One of the pieces that Matt and I have been focusing on for the past weeks speaks to basically pulling together all these cases in terms of all of the various files, and some of them are voluminous, some of them are not, but basically just ensuring that we have all the information neatly put together. And that information is going to help us with the onboarding of an attorney to just move forward. So 05C07, recall that this matter was further discussed in the June 2023 executive session. The former executive director attorney forwarded the LSP notice of appeal. The LSP filed a stay in Superior Court and in appeals court. That was back in June, the report out. Today, my update to this is that the appeals court granted the LSP his request for an extension of time to file his brief, and the LSP will be filing his deadline as 9/18/23. The board has already engaged with the Attorney General's office, as you know, Christine Figmori, she's our attorney, and the board brief is due on 10/18/23. So AGO is active on this case, and I will provide you with any information that comes in. So that is what I have for 05C07. For 08C 03, unfortunately, I am unable to provide you with a report on this matter because I'm in the process of accessing files and I need to engage board attorney. So in the meantime, what I would like to do is look for a volunteer so that we can assign a new board member to the CRT. Recall that I believe Debbie was one of the board members previously identified on this CRT. So I would like to ensure that we have another board member as part of the CRT for 08C 03 while I, along with board staff and the attorney, pull the information for further dissemination amongst the CRT members. So I am looking for a volunteer.
That's an LSP, correct?
No.
Okay, so Kirk,
You're just looking for the LSP part of that?
I apologize, Kirk.
You're just looking for the LSP part of that volunteer?
The non-LSP part, Kirk, because
No.
Debbie was a non-LSP.
Yeah, I apologize, Kirk. Yeah, exactly. Debbie was a non-LSP board member, so I'm looking for a non-LSP board member.
Millie, do you know who is on this this panel?
Hey, Millie, I think it was Farouk was the,
Yeah,
it's
for
myself and Farouk.
yeah, exactly. Farouk Sadiq was on the panel. So I
So-
apologize. It's not Debbie, it's Farouk, and he was a non-LSP.
No, Farouk was an LSP.
Farouk's an LSP. I'm the non-LSP.
Okay, so let's clarify this. Kirk, non-LSP member. Farouk was an LSP. He's no longer with the board. I'm looking for an LSP board member to serve on the CRT panel.
Billy, do you know who is on this panel besides those two that you're trying to replace?
Those were the only two, and then of course we always need to have an attorney.
I
So,
see. Oh, I see. Okay.
So,
All right,
we
there
had
was,
Beverly serving in attorney capacity.
got it.
Yeah, Millie, I can assist. This is Craig.
Okay, thank you, Craig. I appreciate that. Okay, so 12C01, at the June 2023 professional conduct meeting, it was established that Gail and Greg were confirmed as the CRT members. Recall that there was a settlement offer that was basically on the table for the LSP, and the LSP decided to reject that settlement offer. Therefore, the next step is to engage board attorney, which is on the hiring track right now, and follow the process that speaks to one.
Millie, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. There's more to it than that. That has gone further. That was incorrect information that we had on the on that one. It was because the board did not get one of the responses in on time, the case was dismissed without prejudice. And that's why we need the attorney to get involved. It was already in the appeals process, and the attorney for the board did not get a response in on time, and therefore the hearing officer dismissed it with prejudice. So we need to look into that one more. We need to get whoever the new board attorney is involved to see what that means for the board going forward. I believe when it's dismissed without prejudice, we have the opportunity to bring it again or
Come back to
something.
the fold. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that there is a draft settlement document that was extended, and I think there's some reconstituting of files and clearly legal advice with regards to the next path forward if the board decides to move forward with acting on the without prejudice portion. So we need to.
Attorneys, we can't do anything without.
Exactly. We cannot. We're going to have to basically just pause on this one. Thank you, Gail. That all those comments will be noted. Very well. 18C01 at the June 2023 meeting, Gail, I took to mean that you commented on this case by stating that an LSP interview had taken place. So I just want to make sure.
Not 18C01. It was 12C that I commented on. Oh no, I may not have commented on 12C at the board meeting. I thought 18C01 and 18C02 were the two that Beverly was looking into. The board brought the board brought the case.
No, I think
Yeah.
18C01 is the one you and Kathy both confirmed that
that
the
one. I'm
LSP
sorry.
review
I'm sorry.
did occur, right?
Yeah.
It's
So
20. It must be the 20C01.
Right.
Yes.
yeah. So this gets really complicated. How about if we just, I'll go ahead and read my very one sentence summary and then we can react. 18C01, what I have on my notes, I went back to the tape. They talk about at the June 2023 meeting, Gail, I had you as commenting on this case by stating that the LSP interview had taken place. A board attorney needs to be assigned to the case. And the CRT meeting or discussion would need to be scheduled once a staff attorney has been hired. But the key issue is that case materials had previously been redacted. I have on my notes and share with the full board, and we needed to establish a CRT. That's what I have on the notes.
Not for 18C01. We've already interviewed the LSP. We're already well into the process, and the CRT report has already been, a draft CRT report has already been prepared.
Which needs to be shared with the board, correct?
Not yet. No, we're not at that stage yet. The draft CRT report needs to be finalized among the CRT members, and we don't have CRT members till we have an attorney. And we need to look into this. There's another further piece of it that has to be looked into before we would finalize that.
Okay. Okay, so this one, again, we need staff attorney. 18C02 at the June 2023 meeting, the board affirmed that Debbie and Greg were part of the CRT. Given Debbie's departure, resignation from the board, we need a new non-LSP board member to be assigned to this case. So that's one action that we need to at least, looking for volunteers there. Also, we will need to, we need to basically assign this staff, this case to a staff attorney so we can continue to move forward. So I think all we can really accomplish today on this case is just looking for a non-LSP board member to carry on with the duty that Debbie had.
Well, this is Patrick, and I certainly fall into that bucket and would be happy to be the non-LSP board member on one of these CRTs.
And it looks like from the notes that this one already has a draft report as well.
Okay. So we will be sure to document that Patrick is the new member of the CRT, and we will follow up with the administrative aspect regarding any kind of making sure it's redacted and also shared.
Millie, I'm working from memory here, but I don't remember seeing a draft report on that. So if someone can distribute that to Patrick and to me again, if I ever received it.
Okay, that will be done.
Thank you.
Okay, we're looking at 20C01. At the June 2023 meeting, the board was informed that both cases, the 20C01 and the one below 20C02, those cases operate under the same situational sets of facts. My understanding is that the LSP was interviewed according to board staff report out. And at that meeting, Gail, this is where you come in, provided clarity as it pertains to your recollection that the board was awaiting for a draft screening memo, and the said memo needed to be shared with all the board members so that the board members could decide how to move forward with both 20C01 and 20C02. By way of action, the board is now working to assemble the draft screening memo, which will need redaction, clearly legal review, and then all that has to happen prior to distribution to the board members. I should make sure that I got the story straight on this one, and
That's correct.
I appreciate your support there. All right, 20C04. There was no report out provided on this case. I went to the tape on the June 2023 board meeting. And because of that, board staff needs to look for files and assemble. And I hope to have some clarity around 20C04 at the September meeting. 21C01. In July 2023, again, just by way of making sure we're all on the same page, redaction of the case documents had been requested, was done, legal review was completed in July, and redactor materials were sent over to board members on 8/11/23. That included the redacted LSP complaint and also the redacted LSP response. And all we're asking for this time is for all the board members to review the materials. One of the cases, I believe, is more voluminous than the other. In the meantime, again, this is one that needs to be assigned to staff attorney. And because of that, we will not be able to move forward with the next steps, but at least you have the information. And if there's any need for reissuance of materials, we will do that.
Millie,
So,
that's the one
the
that the
first-
screening team, is it that I'm on the screening team for with Greg?
This one has, exactly.
Yes,
This is
so
one where,
we're in the process of, I mean, we haven't done anything because we need the attorney, but basically we're looking at it to see if what we would recommend and whether in fact it's something where we might recommend that either the board follows through and creates a CRT or
Yep.
that it be dismissed. That's the
yeah,
purpose of this
absolutely.
screening.
I think the update here today is that at the June meeting, you did not have the redacted materials, and now you do. That's the point. So
No,
I'm
the
going to
board
also,
doesn't. We have the unredacted, the screening team has the unredacted materials, and we're moving forward with the screening team portion, which is separate, but a CRT has not been officially assigned because the board hasn't had the chance to look at unredacted materials yet. But
Got
a
it.
screening team has already looked at, well, theoretically, we've already looked at it, and we would continue on then theoretically if the board decides to vote on to establish CRT.
well, what I do know is that we provided the full board with redacted materials, as you know, because you received the documents on 8/11 along with the members of the team. So the presumption is that the file instructions were that this was ready to go out for full board discussion. Not discussion, but at least starting to review the materials.
Right, but the screening team would theoretically report back to the board before the board would vote on whether a CRT should be established.
Understood.
Okay, so next steps on this would be after review, we would make that decision in executive decision, maybe next meeting.
Well, you
Yeah,
need
it doesn't
an
have to be executive session. It's regular session because we're just reporting back. It's still redacted.
Okay, so we're just waiting for attorney.
That's correct.
Okay.
This is David. I only got one of 4 emails. Just to let you know, it said 1 of 4 response and complaint. So I didn't know if there was 3 other emails supposed to come for this file, 21C01. Thank you.
Yeah, David, what's your file limit to accept? Do you know the file size wise?
No, but I've never had issues before.
Okay, because some of the files are between 15 and 20 meg.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent them and I never got a response back. So what I will do is ensure that we resend these materials.
Yeah, that's great. I got email 1 of 4, but nothing after that. Thank you.
Okay.
I actually got the same, but it looks like there's 2 files attached to that one email, and one is just the redacted complaint, and one is the LSP response. So
Correct.
is that it? And the other 3 were actually for the other case? Is that what the intent was?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because, yep,
Okay.
Okay.
there were 2 cases where the materials were
Yes. So
the
this
21
22,
CO1.
yeah. So 22 CO1 came in 3 separate emails.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. I think we got them then.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. I just wanted to now jump very quickly on new business, discussion of docket 23C01. At this time, I just wanted to report that the board is in receipt of a new complaint. It has been hereby docketed as 23C01, and the board is in the process of issuing what we need to do is typically a 10-day letter, but we're just issuing it now, acknowledgement letter to the complainant. And likewise, what accompanies that acknowledgement letter is a notice to the LSP that a complaint has been filed. So it's in my possession. I will be reviewing and issuing and clearly ensuring that those that need to be CC'd accordingly, I will make sure that that happens. And that's it, Jamie. I will turn it back to you.
Sure. Okay. Thank you for that summary. Looks like our future meeting date, again, to be discussed in more detail during the board meeting, tentatively September 12th. And I guess we'll, if there's no other new business, we'll adjourn at 1:06.
Thank you. So, welcome to the board meeting. I'd like to first, again, welcome everybody to this board meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order at 1:07 p.m. And again, to reiterate that I'm calling this meeting not in board chairperson capacity, but as an acting executive director with the goal of facilitating this meeting this month. I do not have any voting powers as I have stepped down from my duties and responsibilities as chairperson. Announcements. First, I want to tell you how important it is that we, in my estimation, recognize a member of the LSP community that unfortunately passed away over the weekend. And it's a very difficult moment for Southeast Region, and I'm sure for her family and friends and loved ones. She was part of our Southeast Region team. She worked for DEP from October 1999 to November 2013. She passed after a brief illness, and that is Molly Cody. So in respect of Molly, I look for your support in doing a moment of silence. Thank you. And I also want to thank the LSP Association and also the Massachusetts Conservation Commission's executive directors. They reached out to the board and also in my capacity as regional director, and also shared their expression of sympathy. We always are very appreciative of people that devoted their lives to the practice, and Molly did. Okay, so staff updates and changes. The ED position. So an executive director position will be posted. I'm working currently with the Secretariat and Mass DEP. You should be seeing something fairly soon. This is going to be posted through Mass Careers, and obviously I will be flagging to the board when this position is uploaded and available. I already commented on the fact that the council to position, this will be an attorney for the board. The vacancy announcement was posted. The position closed on 8/11/23. We have received a number of qualified responses, and I'm looking for a very swift and decisive path forward for interviewing and onboarding this attorney. Also want to hit on the fact that there's a board chairperson that I have advanced for recommendation to the commissioner. I am very confident that that appointment will be happening very soon. The board will be, you will know very soon, and therefore I want to thank our Commissioner Bonnie Heupel for her support of this board. And again, that this is in the process, and it should be moving fairly swiftly. Also, I want to let you know that the LSP, the non-LSP board position, we have a vacancy right now due to the resignation of Deb Listernick, esteemed colleague of ours, resigned on June 30, 2023. That position is going to be posted very soon. Actually, Mike Orcott, who's with us today, he's been terrific. He's been helping us with advancing a lot of information on the webpage. So once it's up, I will flag it for all board members, and it will be on the external portal. And therefore, anybody who has the qualifications, I encourage your colleagues to know that. And in the meantime, the board staff wants to pass along our appreciation to Debbie for her many, many years of service, and she will never, ever be forgotten. So thank you for that. Okay, I don't think we have any additions, deletions, or changes to the draft agenda, but kindly let me know if you have anything in mind that needs to be changed.
Hey, Millie, this is Craig. For the item 6, the application review panels, I think they're reversed for the people that sat on them. We sat on the Joshua Clement one.
So yeah, you did 331 and 332, correct? So first is Joshua Clement, that did happen. And I think today you will be positioned to speak to that, and the board members will take a vote, correct?
Yeah, I was saying it's listed as me on the William Phelps one, but we actually sat on the Joshua Clement one.
Oh, I apologize. So yes, you're absolutely right. This is incorrect in this particular format, but we had to redo and upload. So I believe what's on the web is correct. And I apologize if the packet reflects a transposed member panel. So thank you for making that noted. We will correct that. Make sure that what's in the board docket is accurate and reflects that. Any other changes that warrant action? No? Okay, so then let's move on to virtual meeting. I just wanted to let you know, as you know, since COVID, we've been operating under the guise of the virtual world. I wanted to hear some thoughts from the board members with regards to a couple of things. First, meeting minutes are recorded. We did not have, we stopped taking meeting minutes by hand, old-fashioned way, and generating meeting minutes that could also accompany the recording. We did do a little bit of due diligence research, and it appears that some other boards, despite recording, do brief meeting minutes. So I just wanted your opinion on that. Happy to hear it now, or you can email the board for further discussion at a future date, but it's something that maybe might be helpful to the board members, maybe not. So we used to do notes by hand. We don't anymore. So you can let us know. You can send an email address to me. Okay, so
Millie, this is
yes.
Patrick. Maybe could you also invite the feedback from the LSPA on this item as well? Because I think the folks that are tuning in and trying to find out what happened in the prior meeting, who are not board members, but are LSPs who may be affected by decisions or by precedent, you know, the question is, are they taking the time to go through a whole recording, or would they benefit from abbreviated minutes? You know, what's the feedback that they've heard as well?
Correct. So that's a really great point. I know it took me a little bit of time to navigate through a 2.5-hour video just from last month because, as you know, I was not present at the meeting and I needed to at least understand what took place. So it's, you know, I had to do it in pieces. The board is open to ensuring that there's the optimal service provided to the membership and the board members included. I mean, the board works for the board members and its membership. So let us know. That's really important feedback. We want to be prepared to do so starting in September if that's the direction that the board members advise and wish and opine. So just let us know. We're open to that possibility. And thank you for that, Patrick. Much appreciated. Okay, so at this time, I would like to move forward with formal presentations that I think will be extremely beneficial, as we spoke a little bit about before. We talked a little bit about the fact that with the advent of SCULA/ePlace, our lives are totally going to change both internally and the board with regards to automation and capturing information and pulling together information and data that's at our fingertips, absent of having to go through paper. It's going to make, I believe, the LSP's life easier. So we have that opportunity for LSPs to react, you know, on an online platform. So that's one of the presentations. But the one that's going to lead us off into presentations today will be provided by Mike Barcott, who has been a delight to work with, and he's a digital strategist at EEA. And I will turn it over to Mike. And I thank you so much, Mike, for being present today. And if you would kindly introduce yourself, that would be fantastic. Thank you. And by the way, while Mike is setting up board members, I will be forwarding along, if I haven't, I will be forwarding along these presentations and they will be uploaded onto the LSP webpage.
All set. So I started talking, but I was muted. So hi, I'm Michael Lorkett. I'm the digital strategist for EEA. I handle all things website or digital. I help support all, I think, 6 of our agencies, as well as all of our divisions on all things website. In this presentation, so to summarize this presentation, I just want to go over what my process is for redesigning a website, the tools at my disposal, how I use those tools. I'll also include just general website maintenance, like how we find and fix broken links, misspellings, etc. So next slide. Slide 2. Great. So my design process includes we'll start off with LSP website cleanup. So basically just a lot of website maintenance issues and low-hanging fruit items, things that we don't really need to analyze. We just know, you know, we need fixing or, you know, sort of revamping. Then we're going to analyze the data. To analyze data, we use Google Analytics or GA4, and we also have a user feedback form on the bottom of every web page. So a lot of users provide feedback. You know, did you find what you were looking for on this page? If not, tell us what you're looking for. That feedback is uploaded into a database, searchable database, and I monitor it almost daily. I'm also going to take an inventory of the website, which I've already done. I find inventories are really helpful for revamping a website because it's just you have everything on one page and it's really easy to keep track of the status of a page, what you've changed, what you're redirecting, what pages are deleted, status, etc. And then when that's set up, we're going to plan and draft what the new content would look like, you know, what's being consolidated, etc. And then we publish it, and I'll go over the publishing process and how we take down old content and make sure redirects are set up so that the users aren't getting, you know, page not found errors. Next slide, please. So the first part of the process is just website cleanup. And like I said, we're just going to go after the low-hanging fruit. Next slide. So the first item is we're going to eliminate redundancy. For this, I used our meetings pages as an example. Currently, we have 4 different meeting pages. We really only need one. We have a page for minutes, agendas. We have a meetings page, and then we have a navigation page to link all these pages together. The titles for some of these pages are confusing or long-winded. For example, our agenda page is licensed site professionals open meeting law notices, or our minutes, our historical minutes of the LSP board and subcommittee meetings. If you have a date on when the meeting took place, you really don't need to use the word historic. So I'm going to start moving, and this is going to be like a rolling cleanup. I'm going to start moving the content for the minutes over to one main meeting page. And then when I take down the other 3 pages, I'll make sure to set up redirects so that if it's, say, a user has something bookmarked, or when they click that bookmark, they'll go to the correct information. Next slide, please. And then we're also, and this isn't just for the design. We do this on a regular basis. This isn't just part of the redesign effort. We ensure that information is accurate and current. So an example of accurate information, the LSP board recently moved from 1 Winter Street to 100 Cambridge Street. So we take great pains in making sure that 1 Winter Street is changed to 100 Cambridge Street so that the public knows where we're located. And also current information, I use meetings as an example. We're adding dates to when the agenda was posted, the date and time, to ensure they're posted in a timely manner and in compliance with the open meeting law notice. And those agendas are posted 48 hours before the meeting. Next slide, please. All right. And we're monitoring the website for broken links. We use a tool called Site Improve, which is a suite that crawls all mass.gov pages twice, maybe 3 times a week, and it searches for broken links and misspellings, and then all the broken links and misspellings it finds is put into a searchable database. And I'm on Site Improve daily, cleaning up broken links. As of yesterday, LSP had 0 broken links and 0 misspellings, so we're in good shape in that regard. But just wanted you to know that we do monitor a lot of that stuff. Okay, next slide, please. All right, and then after the general site cleanup, we're going to start analyzing the data. Next slide. Slide 8. Okay, so what we use Google Analytics or GA4 to track data on our websites. This lets us know what our most popular pages are, page hits on a given day, what users are clicking on a page, how users are navigating our site. Like, gives us the page before, the page after, what users are searching for, both what search terms led to the page and what they're searching for when they get on the page, So say they can't find what they're looking for, they're going to search another term. So yeah, say the content is on that page and they're searching for that term while they're on this page, we make sure that it's findable. if it's on the page and they're searching out of the page, if they're searching on that page for it, then it's not findable, and we need to make it more obvious that it's there. And we use these analytics to compare this data with what we feel an ideal user journey should be. So if the analytics aren't matching up what we think users should be doing, then it helps us fix it. For example, are users landing on users landing on the actual pages that they're searching for? If they're searching for something, what are the results that come up? What are they seeing? What are they clicking on? We want to make sure that we use the language that they're using from when they're searching. And also, do the popular pages or what we think are popular match the content that users are actually landing on? Or analytics telling us that what we think users are interested in are actually coming up with high page hits. And in short, we just want the analytics to match our vision. And all right, next page. Okay. Next item is feedback. We have a feedback form at the bottom of every page, and it just asks the user a simple question: did you find what you were looking for, yes or no? And then it just has a little text box for them to put in what they're looking for. And this information is stored into a searchable database. The most common issues include, I can't find it, and this page hasn't been updated in a while. So we got to get better at sort of making the website more easily navigated and just keeping it updated on a timely basis. And eliminating those sorts of negative comments is like a really big goal in this redesign process. And we can compare the analytics that we got from Google to the feedback. For example, if we get a lot of feedback about meetings, but the page views for a meeting pages are low, well, we need to make them easy to find. Or if we get a lot of feedback about, say, meetings, and the page views for the meetings are actually high, then something's wrong with the page. Maybe that I'm just using meetings as an example. Maybe the information on it isn't clear. We're not matching the language that they would normally use, etc. Next slide, please. All right. So the next thing I will do is I'll take an inventory of the website, which I've actually already done, and I've started planning things out. I love working with inventories. It's really helpful when redesigning a website. Like I said, it helps you plan out and keep track of the changes you're making. Next slide, please. So this is an example of an inventory. For this, I just used the 4 meeting pages that I told you I was going to consolidate, just so to give you an idea of how I keep track and merge the pages. And so I added a notes comment. So for the redundant pages, I just said redundant, 1 of 4 pages, please consolidate, redundant. And then the last page is, this is the page that will, will roll the 3 pages above into. And then I have a status column, so this lets me know like what we've done. The status column could include anything from pending to complete to page deleted and redirected, etc. And then just a general task problem, which is similar to the notes, but it's more formal. It tells me exactly what I need to do, and it doesn't vary. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, then the next part is planning and drafting. Okay, next slide, please. We're on slide 13. So I then combine the analytics, the feedback, and the inventory to make a better website. So So with the analytics, it shows me how do users interact with our current website, feedback, what are the most common issues users are having? Does the feedback match with how the users are interacting with the website? And then the inventory will act as a blueprint or a checklist to redesign on the website. Next slide, please. And then the last stage is to publish. Next slide, please. Slide 15. All right, so the publishing process includes, the LS team will review the new content, and then I will revise it. If they find mistakes or they want to change something, they'll send it to me for revisions. And then the LSP team will approve it, tell me everything's good to go, and then I publish it, and then I'll take down the old content, and I set up redirects. For every page I take down, I set up a redirect to a new page so that users don't get lost or they're not getting 404 errors. You know, it makes everything very smooth and streamless for the user. Next slide, please. Slide 16. And thank you very much. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, board members, if you have any comments, and we'd like to hear them.
Thank you. What's the timing of the redesigned website?
Well, a lot of it is rolling. For example, the consolidation of the 4 meeting pages, I could start that as early as later today. So there are going to be changes. So I don't know if there's an exact launch date or, hey, this is the new website, but it's just going to start gradually improving. And new pages are going to be introduced, and then old pages are going to be taken down until we, have the final project. So it's just going to be ongoing. As far as the timeline, it just depends on how the approval process goes. Do I need new content? Is this new content going to be written up, etc.? But I don't see it going longer than a couple months, maybe.
Yeah.
And
David, we have already started to. Mike has already started to relocate, move around the recordings from the last 2 years worth. They were all over the place or sort of like grouped in one area. So he's basically making that harmonization between recording and the meeting date. So that's an example, for example, changing our location where the board offices live now, etc. So anything that you see, board members, public, we invite you to let the board know so that Mike can fix what is either not looking that great or needs to be further smoothed out in terms of where it should reside.
And it's great to know that that prompt at the end was this helpful or not, that data actually goes somewhere and gets collected and looked at. I just assumed it went into a black hole, and I've never done it. Cynical me, so that's great to hear.
Great. Yeah, we definitely check it.
Wonderful. So looking forward to comments so that the board staff, we can take action, again, trying to identify areas where the public is seeking that information is not that readily available or visible. The next up will be for sure any vacancy announcements, postings, including the LSP, the non-LSP board seat. So I'll be working with Mike to get that up there. Thank you so much, Mike, for your time, and you're welcome to stay with us.
Sure, thank you.
Next up is Jonah Cucci and Victoria. If you could please proceed with your presentation, much appreciated.
Well, start us off, Millie. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. I'm Victoria Phillips. I'm with the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, and I have been fortunate enough to be working with both Millie for many, many years now, and also Jonah Cucci on the ePlace e-permitting system, which we'll be talking about today for the licensed site professionals. Jonah oversees the team which administers the site, And we have had, her team has implemented more than 350 different permit types on this system. So the great news for the LSP board is that you're not at the beginning. We've learned a lot as we've implemented and been very successful. And you get to reap the benefits of that with a highly automated system that we think will be very beneficial to the board and the LSP members. So what I'm going to do is I have a lot of information here. I'm not going to try and go through it all, nor should you expect to, absorb it all right now. As Millie mentioned, we will post this on the mass.gov website, along with very specific instructions for all different phases of utilizing the system as a new applicant, doing renewals, paying your annual fee. We have extensive instructions and processes that will all be available to you. Some of this will start to be posted the beginning of next week, and I'll go over what we're releasing relatively quickly. So with that, if I could go to the next slide, please. So there are a number of processes that we've automated. The initial application, limited application, EXLAM registration, renewal application, supplementals, change of status, change of address, as well as the annual fees payment process. And the advantages here to using the system, no, you were good, Chris, next slide is perfect, is that all of this is on an online form. All attachments will go into the system. LSPs will have the ability to start an application, save, resume at a time of their convenience. So you don't have to do everything all at once. You can make online payments via credit card or e-check. E-check, I believe, is a 25-cent fee. Credit cards is, I believe, a 2.5% fee based on the amount you're paying. The advantages there are instantaneous. You never now have to worry. Did your check make it to the LSP board? Did your application make it to the LSP board? You will know, you will have electronic receipts. You'll be able to check the status of the application online. You will see changes in the application as it proceeds. You will get renewal reminders, excuse me, annual fee reminders. You'll be able to pay your annual fee online. You'll have step-by-step instructions within the system, but also on the mass.gov web pages. And we do have help desk service for technical assistance. So there's a lot of components to help you ensure that this is going to be a successful experience for all. Next slide, please. So again, a couple of points. I swallowed wrong. On the initial and limited application overview, one key component that I think is very important on what we call the Acela system, you'll hear that term a lot, ePlace, they're synonymous. Acela is the software, ePlace is the platform, is that the system has validations in place based on the LSP regulations. So if it's asking you for something and you put in an incorrect response, it will actually check you in the system. So that way you don't get too far, you don't submit something and the system, later you find out, oh, that was wrong. The system will actually prompt you saying you need to require to submit this document for a valid application. You need to submit this fee. You need to answer this question. It will help with having administrative complete applications, and I think also give the applicants a little more certainty that they know that they provided the information that's being requested, and then the LSP team will be reviewing the applications. Next slide. Supplemental review renewals. You will be able to renew your applications online. You will also get notifications well in advance that a renewal is due. And we'll actually talk about that a little bit farther on in the presentation about the upcoming October renewals. You'll have a link that's personalized to you. You'll have the ability to update all the information, such as your continuing education credits, how you would apply for an extension, again, online payments, and of course, those all important reminders, you know, something's coming up, you've got a deadline coming up, so that it makes it easy for people, hopefully not to miss any key dates. Next slide. Again, amendments. There are the administrative amendments, which while sound simple, sometimes are a challenge to make sure that they get updated. With this system, it is a much more automated process. LSPs will be able to go online to their record, update their mailing address. You'll get a confirmation that the change did occur. Also apply for a change of status. You'll again receive confirmation that that was received by the LSP team, and then track their review as they go through the process, and then receive updates on decisions, etc. Next slide. Annual fees process, always a key. Did we skip? Sorry, I feel like we might have skipped a couple of slides, but no. There we go. I don't think, sorry, if we can, one more. That's the one we missed. And I know this is of great interest for folks, so thank you for bearing with me. I'm sorry we skipped over that. The LSP exam registration, we're now able to do that online. So on the mass.gov pages that Mike Orcott was talking about, it will be clearly posted. Information will go out to LSPs that there's an exam date scheduled, where it will be, date or dates. But the Acela system will allow you to register and say, I want to register perhaps if there's multiple dates for this particular date, and be able to pay for the exam. You'll get a notification that you're registered, and pay for the exam fees. And then the system will send out notifications at key steps. Now, again, that is just to register. The exam themselves will always be in person at locations that will be identified, but having the ability to know that you are registered when appropriate for an exam and able to pay for the exam online, I think will be very helpful for the LSPs. So now I'm going to ask if we can skip ahead for a second. Sorry. LSP annual fees process. This is also a place where I think having the online system will be very beneficial to the LSPs. You will get a notification online that your annual fee is due. There will not be this year any paper invoices sent to you. It will be all online electronically. And that is one thing that we will keep reiterating throughout the fall in particular, but of course, it's important that the LSP team always have your most up-to-date email address, because that is where we're always going to be sending materials. Mass.gov will be updated saying the annual fees have gone out. Your email, was sent to your email address, the link. If you did not get that, you'll have instructions on who to contact, etc. But having your email account up to date will be very, very helpful. You can pay online by credit card or e-check, and you will have constant reminders, that fine line between annoying and helpful of, you've got 2 months before your annual fee is due. Just a reminder, here's the link. 1 month, etc. So that, if it slips people's minds, you won't have sort of a one and done bill that's going out. Next slide. So as Mike mentioned, we're updating the web pages. We also are going to provide very specific web pages just for the e-permitting, the e-online system that Jonah and her team have worked very closely with Mike to put together. And those will start publishing, let's say, early next week. Existing LSP licenses, and this is something critical where we're going to try and ensure we get as much exposure as possible. All existing LSPs will get a notification with guidance and instructions on how to link to their specific LSP record in the system. So for example, if I were an LSP, I'd get a link for Victoria Phillips, but I certainly couldn't change Jonah Cucci's information as an LSP. So the link is unique to the individual, to the licensee, and that gives you the opportunity to log in, you create an account, and then you get access to your existing information. So you can then do updates, you could then do a renewal, you could do a payment, you could apply for an exam, whatever's appropriate for your situation. We've also put on here on this slide, and we'll have this on mass.gov, where the email notifications come. Do not reply EEA, iPass@mass.gov. It's always important, email security, always a wonder, you know, it's important for you to feel safe that you're getting secure emails from the Commonwealth of Mass. You can also always check on mass.gov because we'll be updating when annual fees go out in January, for example. If you get an annual fee request in June, that's probably not right. Double check first, you know, check on mass.gov, did we send these out? And then with the next renewal cycle, which is coming up in October, all LSPs that have October expiration dates will receive an email notification towards the end of this month, basically saying you can start your renewal online. You will then obviously have to have, you will have already received that email to link yourself with your existing system and connecting on the ePlace portal. So just sort of think about, you'll get a few emails in the next few months. The first one to link to your system, and then if you're one of the renewals, you'll get a email later in August as well, basically giving you instructions. And again, there'll be plenty of instructions, step-by-step, screen prints on mass.gov. Jonah's team does a beautiful job of really itemizing to the right level of detail, not too much detail, but more than enough to help people walk through the system, to both register the first time and then to do their renewals or register for an exam or pay their annual fee. But we're excited to have the LSP team on the Acela ePlace platform. And we really do think it will be an efficiency and a help to the LSPs on this system. And with that, I'll hold for questions.
Thank you. This is a great improvement to the current system. One question I did have, I saw there was a note about for the new applications about providing references online. So how would that work? Would there be the ability for the person actually providing the reference to submit it online, or how is that set up?
You want me to take that question, Victoria?
Turn that over to Jonah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So yeah, that's a great question. So we had put a note about reference forms being an online process. So when a new LSP licensee submits their application, there's a process where whoever they decide is going to be their reference, and there's 4 required for the initial application, they will get an email and instructions on exactly how to fill out that reference form online and then submit it to the LSP board. So, and we do understand that the reference forms are not to be viewed by the applicants. So when we made sure there's security in place for that, that's strictly to the LSP board only to view for the reference form. So there's an online process, no need for confidential paper anymore to be mailed to the LSP board on the reference forms.
It's great. And the other question I had was, you made reference to lots of reminders for annual fees, et cetera. Will the system also do like past due notices?
Yes. So depending on the business rules, right? So let's take, for example, the annual fee, which is the 90 days. So whatever happens after the 90-day, the system is designed to send you reminders after that as well. And same thing with renewals, right? You have your until your expiration date, but then you have that 1-year grace period. Your status changed, but it will let you know, hey, you know, you missed your lapse, but you still have time to do your renewal. And then when you get closer to that 1 year, your system will let you know, hey, you know, do your renewal, or, you know, you won't be able to, and you have to come in through a different process.
Right, for the lapse, it's predicated on 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year, and there's consequences associated with those, or basically like a limited application or full-blown application predicated on how long it's lapsed. Jonah, if you don't mind, before we move to the next phase of our board meeting, which is decisions regarding licensing of applicants, so how appropriate is that? I wanted to have you speak to what both active and active LSPs should be expecting by way of announcing this very important moment with the Acela ePlace launch. You're going to have an email going out.
Yeah, so Victoria did touch upon that a little bit on next step slide. So the current licensee, LSP licensees will receive an email next week. We're going to call that the launch email. They're going to give instructions of what the system does and then how to link or associate. So that's that second point there, how to associate your current license that you have with LSP into the new system. So there's going to be detailed instructions and a letter in there, just guiding them through. Again, right, they're going to create an account and then follow the instructions to link their license. And if any of those LSP licensees are part of that October renewal, they're going to get the second notification at the end of this month that they're ready to renew in the new online system. So that's how that's going to work.
Right. And in terms of training, you know, as Victoria expressed, Jonah continues to do a terrific job in terms of doing step-by-step sort of screenshots, etc. But the board is amenable to basically facilitating at least brief training, whether it's virtual or in person, in any appropriate association, whether it's LSPA or another. So I just want to say and express my sincere gratitude and thanks to Victoria, Jonah, and Sneha and the entire team behind this significant watershed moment for the board, and anybody and everybody who had a hand in getting us to this moment. I want to acknowledge that did not happen overnight. So I just want to say again, thank you. And hopefully, I hope that the public and board members also, please bear in mind, Natasha has been instrumental in doing a lot of reconciliation. You know, we're transitioning now from paper to this wonderful online system, and therefore, you know, together in support, you know, working with Natasha, Matt, everybody, all hands on deck to ensure that this is seamless and that we can provide the most accurate database for uploading and launching. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for this education, Victoria, Jonah, and obviously Mike with all the great improvements that are well deserved. So anything else,
Wendy,
Jonah or Chris, anybody who?
Wendy just posted the LSPA would be happy to share some of this basic information with our members to give them a heads up about what's coming down the road. Who should we coordinate with to get the appropriate text? Should we wait until it is posted on the LSP board website or something else?
I can coordinate with Victoria and Jonah, and we appreciate the associations as another mechanism for facilitating information. So that's a yes. So stay tuned. Wendy, we will be reaching out. And these materials will be posted. So Mike, we will coordinate offline after this meeting just for posting purposes. Anything else, Jonah or Victoria? I appreciate your presentation. Members of the board, any other questions before we move forward?
Thank you.
Can I just add one thing from a programming standpoint, just so that LSPs aren't confused? The separation between the LSP website when we make updates to expiration dates specifically, and the EPICS data is still separate. So even when LSPs update their information and it gets updated on the LSP website, that information is not reflected in EPICS until I get notification from the LSP board, and then I can update expiration dates in the EPICS system. So if you're an LSP, and even though the LSP board website says your license is good until 2026, if I haven't been notified that your license actually has been renewed, you'll get that little error message saying, you know, your license isn't accepted, and so then you can contact LSP board, they'll contact me, I'll make sure everything's in place. So right now the two systems are still separate. So even though this is an amazing accomplishment that you guys can do everything online, it still doesn't affect the fact of whether LSPs are eligible to submit. That system is still goes through DEP.
Okay. Jonah, any comment to that, or we're good?
Not for now.
Fantastic, Chris. I'm glad you brought that up. Clearly, opinions need to be uploaded, so we still have that process at play. Thank you much, EEA Mass DP team. You guys are terrific, and welcome to stay if you wish to continue to participate in this board meeting. Otherwise, we appreciate the time and effort that went into creating a terrific content and presentation to the board members and the public.
Thank you for the invitation.
See you very soon then. So next, board members, we have decisions regarding licensing of applicants. I will be again recusing myself from the voting of each docket. So actually, I'm going to be calling on Gail to actively sort of cast those motions that are necessary. And today we have 6 dockets that we submitted for your review and consideration. And I'd like to basically perhaps just move forward with presenting those for your decision and voting. Docket 1 has
I make a motion.
one.
Oh.
Yep, sir. Go ahead.
I was making a motion to approve docket 1.
Second.
Okay, David, do you want to move forward the roll call?
Yeah.
Or Gail, whichever.
Yeah, David, you have the list. Do you want to do it since I don't have the
No.
list written down?
I threw the list out.
Oh,
Just a
okay. So I'll try to do it. I'll try to do it then. Craig,
Yes.
David,
I copy all over it. We have to do a roll call for all these?
We have been.
Yes, you've in the past done that, so just
I know,
making
I'm
sure
just
that we.
complaining about that. So Patrick,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Kirk, Gail,
yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
and Jamie.
Yes. And Greg's here now too, if you can still speak.
Oh, hi, Greg. I'm sorry. Greg,
Sorry. Yes.
docket 1 is approved.
Terrific. David, do you want to carry forth with introduction of the dockets and moving forward with motions, etc., please?
Sure. Docket 2 is someone who had a renewal date from this year and has met all the requirements. I make a motion to approve docket number 2.
Second.
Approval is a yes. Patrick?
Yes.
David's a yes. Kirk?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
Docket number 2 is approved. Docket number 3 is folks that just renewed last month. Oh, I'm sorry. No, they're asking for a 90-day extension. They had a renewal date of July.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. A yes is approving docket number 3. Patrick?
Yes.
David's a yes. Kirk?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
And Greg?
Yes.
Docket number 3 is approved. Docket number 4 is renewals from last month with a new renewal date of 2026. A long list of folks, including Kathy. I make a motion to approve docket number 4.
Second.
A yes is approval. Patrick?
Yes.
David's a yes. Kirk?
Yes.
Gail?
I think I should abstain. My husband's on that docket.
Okay,
I'm not
Kathy?
sure.
I can't see it. I might have to be abstained because I'm on that list. Yeah,
Well, let's
I'm on
hope
that
it goes
list.
through
Abstain.
then. Greg?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
And Greg?
Yes.
Docket 4 is approved, and then docket 5 is a 90-day extension for folks who have a renewal coming up in October.
Mhm.
I make a motion to approve docket number 5.
I'll move second.
Second.
A yes is approval. Patrick?
Yes.
David's a yes. Kirk?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
And Greg?
Yes.
Great, and docket number 5 is approved. Docket number 6 is renewal for January 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
approval of docket number 6 is a yes. Patrick?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm a yes. Kirk?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
And Greg?
Yes.
So docket number 6 is approved.
Terrific. Great work. Expeditious. Thank you, Dave. I want to, in the interest, I know Jamie, I want to be cognizant of that, but there's one piece that I wanted to check with you that has to do with the ARP. You participated in ARP 332, correct?
Yes.
Which was the one that evaluated Mr. Joshua Clement, 8515, and that's for the purposes of your folks, board members vote to sit this candidate or not on the upcoming exam, which I will be talking a little bit more about this coming up. So I'd like to gather comments, and I know Matt, thank you for facilitating the phone call. You participated also, full disclosure, Matt was representing the board staff. So Jamie, any impressions you wish to carry out? And just to note, it was Jamie, Craig Ellis, David Austin, so.
Yeah, we recommended approval for this applicant to take the exam. His application was comprehensive, demonstrated that he had the required RPE and TPE, provided a number of projects of varying types and complexity, and all in all demonstrated that he's eligible for the exam.
Okay, with that, you would need to decide, move forward with a motion, second, et cetera, take a vote.
So our recommendation was to move forward. So we would be looking for a motion from the board to approve the recommendations of ARP 331.
I move to accept the recommendations of ARP panel, whatever is really on 331.
332, correct? Because I
Well,
think there was that
it's Mr. Clement, whichever
Mr. Clement.
whichever
Yes.
panel that was. Yes.
Yes.
Second.
Proceed with the roll call.
David, do you mind?
I'm just going to throw it away again. Patrick,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Kirk,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
Excellent.
All right. So given that motion carries, we Clement to start studying, and there will be a test coming up. We will discuss a little bit here. The same goes for, so Jamie, like I said, thank you if you need to exit, but hopefully you can stick around. But if not, I appreciate your being able to be here today.
I'll stick around for this next vote and then I need to jump
Wonderful.
off. Thank you.
Much appreciated. Okay, so the next is an ARP that was conducted. Interviews were conducted for this application that was incoming to us. Mr. William Phelps, number 5227. Again, full disclosure, Matt Line represented the board, facilitating that conversation, and therefore Kirk Franklin, Paul McKinley, who's not present today, Mr. Patrick Curran, they were involved in discussing the merits of this particular candidate looking to be seated at the next exam.
After our review,
Go ahead.
we voted to accept Mr. Phelps to test for the LSP exam.
Can you speak a little bit to just in general terms, I guess, fitting all of the various criteria?
Sure, he more than met all the criteria, very experienced, and in 20 years, probably the most complete application that I've seen. So it was agreed unanimously to accept him for the test for the LSP exam.
Okay. So is there a motion here if the board members can facilitate that process?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. We're looking.
Look at the roll call. Patrick?
Yes.
I'm a yes on the recommendation. Kirk?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
And Greg?
Yes.
Okay. Terrific. Congratulations to this candidate. Please get studying. There'll be more information with regards to when this meeting is, the exams taking place. We have also 4 new individuals that have raised their hand ascertaining that they wish to be also seated for an upcoming, very soon to come meeting exam. These are Andrew Egan, Michael Scherer, Jonathan Pugliafico, and Joseph Spencer. New applications incoming. In the interest of time, I will be sending out the recusal forms so that the board members can fill that out. But what I was considering, and maybe somebody can correct me here, board members let me know, I was actually thinking about just looking for volunteers to form these 4 ARPs. And what I would do is ensure that there is no conflict of interest, and I would match you accordingly so that you can hold the candidates interview process, etc. Look at the qualifications, look at the qualifications, and we can do that in tandem in consideration that we're looking to have an exam in early November. So just looking for your advice to the board as it pertains to moving these 4 evaluations that are needed on a more expedited track. So I'm looking to David or Jamie or anybody who can assist us there.
Can we do 2 APRs?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
2 for each?
That's what I
Yep.
was going to suggest. Yep.
And I'll be on one that doesn't have Andrea Egan's application.
Okay.
I'm happy to serve on one as well. With that, I got to jump off, guys.
Thank you,
Take care,
Jamie.
Jamie.
Greg can serve on one also.
Kirk can
Okay.
take one.
And I'm not recused, so I could serve from anybody, so I could serve on one.
Okay. So I have, oops, sorry.
I was going
Well,
to say, this is Patrick. Should there be a space? But it sounds like, yeah.
Okay, terrific. So we have David, however, making sure that's no Egan, correct? Okay. Jamie said yes, Greg said yes, Craig said yes, Gail and Patrick.
Kirk.
Okay, fantastic. I will send out the recusal forms, and I will make sure that those are filed, and I'll make sure that we match you up, and we'll do 2 ARPs to each. Thank you so much for your assistance. Greatly appreciated. All right, moving on to other licensing related matters. I just want to say thank you so much, Natasha. You were critical in making sure that we get these numbers correct. We have some limited information, however, that's what I want to report to the board because again, we're in flux with paperwork and reconciliation end of fiscal year. But Natasha basically was able to provide us with a report and the total number of LSPs on an active status equates to 444. This is as of today. We checked the numbers last night. We also wanted to let the board know that there are 8 LSPs with licenses that have lapsed as of August 1st. I do want to say that Matt Line did a robust job of doing some outreach at my directions. We'll make sure that nobody got left behind. And we were able to ensure that messages went out there to remind LSPs. This is atypical, but we wanted to make sure because we're going into this paper transition from paper to online. So as Natasha also reported here, thank you so much, Natasha. 1 LSP is currently on inactive status. They notified the board, and this is 1 inactive status since the last board meeting, that is Mr. Steve Sharon. Also, again, Natasha, thank you so much. Wall certificates and renewal letters, 114 wall certificates were issued with the accompanying renewal letter. These were mailed out and they cover January, April, and July. So the board wants to hear if you are missing your wall certificate of renewal, please email Natasha so that we can see if there's a discrepancy. But in our best estimation, we've pretty much uncovered every stone and we've been able to issue that along. So that's what I have on that as of today. Anything else, Natasha, you can think of? Okay, terrific. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, 2023 annual fees report. As you know, the LSPs need to pay the annual fees by March 1, 2023, and the board is currently, just again, Natasha, working with me and Matt and everybody, all hands on deck, making sure that we reconcile how many LSPs have actually paid and how many LSPs have not paid. I do have one statistic that I wanted to share with you, board members, which is that for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30, 2023, which constitutes our FY23, the revenue division of Mass DEP, which is the division that collects all revenue for our agency, DEP, basically, and also the board manages the board as well, collected $118,120. That's what was identified as the sum of money that was collected. So again, we are now going through all of the paperwork we have to identify anybody who has not paid, and we will be working with that individual just to make sure that we are closing the loop on that. Anything on that, Natasha, that I may have missed?
No, that's pretty accurate.
Okay, thank you. All right, the July 20 renewal. Here's our report out. We have 57 applications that were received. Thank you so much for voting. That was addressed in a prior renewal docket exercise. And the good news is 0 missing payments. So every renewal application that came in came with an accompanying check, and we were able to validate and verify that. Thank you to LSPs that resubmitted copies of your checks. Everything is always on the table, so we want to make sure no one's left behind. We want to work with you and ensure that there's continuity in your licensing. Again, to close the loop, all these 57 applications, you all voted for them, board members, and they are reflected in the renewal dockets of 1 through 6. All right, item 10. This is one that I will be passing the baton for Mr. Matt Line to set the stage, but I want to remind all the board members that this next topic, the regulatory interpretation of 309 CMR 3.09, 2A, and 3.064, these go back to past conversations, I believe going back to perhaps May. I was not present at the June meeting, but I trust that Mr. Line will be able to provide us with a comprehensive issues statement, and I'm relying on the board to make a decision with regards to this particular regulatory interpretation. So with that, I yield.
Thank you, Millie. Chris, can you post the attachment for that was in the packet for this item number 10? Interpretation of 309 CMR 3.09. Yeah, so we had, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was started back at the May meeting. We discussed this LSP looking for interpretation, and then we discussed it at June, and then it was tabled. A couple of regulatory citations that you wanted us to look into. The big picture is this was an LSP back in 2022. LSP license had lapsed. He was a January 2022 renewal, but it lapsed. He needed 1 DEP credit. And during the months after that, he took the course for the 1 DEP credit, but he also took a bunch of other courses. And Chris, if you scroll down a little bit, you can kind of see the timeline. He has a good timeline here of what happened in 2022. And in October, you can stop it right there. October 3rd, he submitted his renewal application. And later that month, actually should be October 11, 2022, his license was renewed by the board, voted to approve his renewal. And then there's some question in June about the expiration date after that. Some of the members thought that it should revert back to January. And the board was correct, and we'll go through the regulatory citation that the expiration date is 3 years after the board approves the renewal for lapsed licenses. So his expiration date was October 2025. So the question is, with all these additional courses that he took between January and September 2022, if you scroll down, Chris, there's the 309-2A. I keep going down to the next page. There should be an excerpt. Yep, right here. So this is 309-2A, which says no person may apply continuing ed credits earned during 1 license period toward another license period. So board members, you were contemplating and deliberating on this back in May and June. And if you scroll down to the next page, keep going. Here's a highlighted portion. This is 3064A about someone who has their license lapse, and when they try to renew in that first year, it says here it shall run for 3 years from the 30th of January, April, July, or October, whichever date is or occurs soonest after the date the board approves a license renewal. So that's why it was October 2025 was a new expiration date based off of this regulation. So this regulation here, it does come up. We've had some questions in the past few months from other LSPs about how we interpret that. So if anybody has any questions or think that's confusing, we've been using this here, the 30th of the month after the board approves a license renewal.
Right, so we want to underscore that we're going by past practice, and therefore the board needs to either acquiesce that in fact that's been your recollection and then take action. However, the other avenue that I recommend would be to just stay this issue further until we have a lawyer, an attorney on board if there is a deep dive in terms of legal reg interpretation. But I believe my understanding is that there's been past scenarios that have hearkened to how we usually treat this particular inquiry. So we will stop there. I'd like for board members to either summarize where we landed, whether there were some additional needs that the board needed to provide in order to make this decision, or if we feel that this is something that is presidential setting and we should be availing ourselves to legal review, then that's something that I would just take back.
Any board members have comments about that first citation about, Chris, if you scroll up to the previous page. About applying CE credits earned during one license period toward another, and how that reflects this LSP who took about like over 8 credits in 2022 while they're in a lapse phase.
So basically is accumulating credits during the lapse time and then coming back to the fold and now requesting that those credits be applied.
Based on what the highlighted sections, I feel like the interpretation that the board has made is correct, that they can't apply because he wasn't technically, his license had lapsed, I believe is the term. And so the renewal, it's clear that he didn't have a license, he couldn't practice. So my thought is, I'm comfortable with, I think, the decision that the board has made, which is that they don't apply. I can't remember if we made a decision, but
there was no decision made. I think the board sounds like was wanted to further think about this. Board members wanted to think about this, and again, because what happens here will happen and will basically affect future decisions. And once an LSP goes into a lapse predicated on the time frame, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, again, we need to harken back to what is the citation that's applicable there in terms of receiving credit or not.
Yeah.
This is Greg. I'm sorry.
Go
ahead. We didn't make a decision, and we had asked for this information, and I did not review it prior to this meeting. So, and we still have time. So I hate to kick it down the road, but I think we should make the right decision because it could be a slippery slope.
And I think that it would be why my sense is that even though it seems straightforward from, because I did look at these last night and it seems straightforward, but I do think it wouldn't hurt to wait till we have an attorney, like a board attorney, telling us, yes, this is the correct interpretation. I would feel better because it's a regulation, interpretation of a regulation.
Yeah, this is
Absolutely, I
Greg.
think-
I'm fine. I'm sorry, Millie.
No, go ahead, Greg.
I agree with David and Gail that we should maybe wait. But the gray area, and I'll state the obvious, the gray area is that the person's license had lapsed. So one might argue that it was not during a licensing period when he took the exams. And that's where the gray area is. And so I think a legal opinion would be very helpful.
Mhm.
This is Patrick. I agree with that, and I agree with that question that was just asked about whether it is in a license period if it's lapsed.
Has
We
there been any
appreciate your
board?
feedback.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Has there been any like precedent on this before, or is this something that's come up before and voted on before?
So this is why exactly, this would be a precedent-setting action because nobody has ever availed themselves to that argument in terms of during the lapse period, particularly. The homework that we were asked to do was to basically identify potentially relevant citations, which would be the basis for approving or denying with conditions this petition. So therefore, insofar as all of the opinions from the board, I'm taking direction that we should table this, correct, until further notice. We are working to have an attorney, and in the meantime, maybe just rereading this regulation again. And, we continue to have a parking lot of gray areas that could potentially be improved through rec revision. And I think that might be an opportunity for the board to consider that as an area that is giving us a little bit of, we're going into the fourth meeting on this, but not a bad thing. It's just being cautious and ensuring that we don't negate an LSP with what potentially could be due and legally approvable, for lack of words. So,
Millie, do we need to vote to table it? Is that something that we need to vote on to table something?
I don't believe so, because it's been stayed. So if it was something that's a different change in course substantive wise, I would say yes, but looking to David and others for guidance there. So we're operating on status quo.
I don't think we need to vote.
Okay, so the board is taking direction from the board members that we need to further develop this argument with some legal advice. Okay, thank you so much for helping. Okay, I'd like to then move to 11, and I think we should be now, that was one of the top ones. Like to hand it over also to Matt to introduce this topic. This is the case of some missing DEP course credits for 730 renewal. So Matt, if you could kindly just summarize the issue for the board members, please.
Sure. Thanks, Melly. And Chris, can you open up that petition for waiver, LSP 6837? Yeah, while he looks for that, or here it is. LSP was lacking 1 DEP credit for his July renewal, and indicates due to no live or online DEP regulatory courses were available in the 3-month period, April through July of this year. It was impossible to complete his additional hour of DEP course credits. He does have the 48, he's just lacking the 1 DEP credit. So his petition is he requests that the board approve not having his LSP license expire until a live or online DEP regulatory credit is available.
I actually think we may have done something like this in the past. We may have a precedent for it in that because there were no, his argument is correct that because there was no courses, it wasn't really like a 30-day extension. I think there might have been one where we said it's until the next one is given, but I'm not positive. And in this case, he doesn't have long to wait, I believe.
Yeah, I took a look. The next one is up on, there's one available on September 14th.
Right.
That looks like a new one.
So I have this funny feeling that we did extend the extension until that time, and I found a citation, which of course just came up. It's in, I'll find it in a second once my other computer comes up, but where it allows us, I think, to do that. It is, hold on. It is, 1 second. Whoa, went too far.
Did the license expire on the 30th and he was kicked out of EDEP?
Yes. So I have this funny
Yes.
feeling they have fixed it, but I looked at 309 CMR 3.067, and it says the board in its discretion may renew a license provisionally or subject to such conditions as the board deems appropriate. So I was wondering if that fits in this category.
Is that like a general citation?
It's 309 CMR 3.06 parentheses 7.
Okay.
And because I think we may have done this for somebody else that was in the same position, it was the same thing. It was like 1 DEP credit short, and there's no DEP credits during that period. It's not like you're giving them any benefit, like they don't get to benefit from that extension at all.
Now, we did
Now, I
have
know,
a petition for waiver 2 months ago, similar, and it was denied. I don't know if you remember that.
yeah,
Back in
yeah,
May.
we wanted to bring that to the fold. I mean, I think all disclosure for board to decide and vote on.
If it was
The
specific
last
to
one
that
was at the time
situation,
of renewal. I don't think it was after a 90-day extension had expired.
yeah, I think the tricky thing here is that they asked for the 90-day extension, which was worthless for them because there was no DEP course. So it isn't fair. You gave them a 90-day extension, but they couldn't have done anything with it to remedy their situation. And I think that's the situation that may have happened in the past, because I vaguely recall saying it's okay until you must take the next one. And in this case, we know when it is.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah, you want to put that into a motion?
Okay, so I just wanted to establish that, in fact, the key issue here is that despite the 90-day extension, there was no opportunity because there were no courses, DEP courses available for party to avail himself to, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
So I will make a motion that we use that citation to provisionally keep his license in effect until the date of the next DEP course, and he must take it or his license will lapse at that point. And I may not have said that correctly. If someone wants to make it better.
Second.
Okay. Looking to David for a roll call.
Oh, I was looking at the motion is, does it have a date on it by a certain date?
Yeah,
The date of the
I
next
was looking at,
course, which is, and we can put that date in. I just didn't want to say the wrong thing.
okay, so a yes is approving the waiver request with the condition. Is that correct?
Yes.
So Patrick,
Specifically with the condition until that date, and after which, if he does not take that course, it is, or whatever happens to him with government.
Then
so
we
the
revert
course
back
is
to.
the course is LSPA membership meeting in September that we just approved today.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
That was the 21st of September.
Or if there's an on-demand course sooner,
We approved an on-demand course today.
Then I would add that to the recommendation that if we approved it and it's ready, I don't know if it's ready, but if it's ready, then it would be immediately, like within, by September 1st, let's say.
And it was a former in-person course. We just have to be careful he didn't already take that.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Yeah.
But I think if you made it September 21st, that's the annual meeting. It's about a month from now.
I mean, I think that the point is for the board members to decide how to act, for us board to act on this. We're just giving you the facts, and we basically will follow the board vote. So, you know, Matt has given you all we've got.
How about to the next available DEP course that he has not taken?
Correct.
I think this is kind of crazy. I feel like we're falling all over ourselves. Like, we have 3 years to do this.
But we put these provisions in place because despite that, people still, it happens. And I think because I believe we have done it again, and we've offered this option to people of that 90-day extension. And then if it doesn't, if it doesn't do anything because there are no courses offered, that's not their fault, really. I just think that this is one of those situations where it's not unreasonable to say, and it's within, it's not like it's 6 months from now or an unknown period of time. We know when it is.
And the one that we denied at the last meeting was at time of license renewal, not at the end of a extension, from what I'm looking to tell.
So we granted a waiver beyond the 90 days in the spring?
No, I think the one I'm thinking of was a long time ago. It was a while ago, not a huge long time ago, but a while ago, maybe a couple of years or something.
Because I feel like we've been denying them.
We have, except for this one circumstance where there was no DEP course.
Well, there were, but he had already.
They don't have control over when DEP courses are issued, is the problem.
No, and you know, if you're just waiting for things to be posted online as courses, there's never going to be enough ever. So how do you dictate in this motion what the waiver is? You know, what if there's another circumstance and he can't go to the one course in September? Is this an open-ended approval?
It's not that he can't go, it's that there were none offered in the time period. It's not that he didn't get there, it's that there was no opportunity for him to avail himself of the 90-day extension.
Of any new courses?
There were no new DEP courses during that 90-day period. I have not checked that. I'm trusting that that's true. Matt, you would have to check. That he had not taken. There were no new DEP courses offered during the 90-day extension that he had not already taken.
So that's a good point. If you'd like for us to table this, and hopefully the LSP is, you know, cognizant that there's been actions today that promote the availability of DEP courses. Party should sign on to those courses. And again, what I'm hearing Kathy stating is that this, you know, let's hope that party, you know, if there were courses available, say during the period of the 90-day extension, and parties claiming that there were no courses, but in fact there could have been an on-demand course that he may not have taken, that should have happened. And then that's the first part. So with regards to going back and checking all the courses that this LSP has taken, and if in fact everything that was any kind of DEP offering the party had already gone to, and that's why he went through the 90-day extension route, with the hopes that there will be a DEP credit, and that never materialized, then that's one scenario versus 90-day extension was sought and obtained through docket vote, and then LSP did not avail himself to available courses, even if past courses on demand. That's a different scenario.
And we still have to, so there's a motion on the table we have to vote on before we can pass it off. So, so do we need to amend the motion or whatever? But I think it's moved and seconded, if I'm not mistaken.
Is the motion predicated on data that the board needs to provide? That's my question as board staff.
Well, in terms of the lack of DEP courses, that's been pretty evident the past few months. There's been other LSPs that have had the same situation. Some of them have just let their licenses lapse because of that. You know, I can later on check this one LSP and match it up and see if what he's saying is true, that there weren't any courses available to him in that 3-month period. But
So
I think we all pretty much know that there was a lack of DEP courses past few months.
So that's like a general sort of statement, but then making sure that it's customized to the LSP. I think that's a step that if we cannot accomplish at this moment, and there's still a question from one board member, I want to make sure that all the board members are informed. So we'll do whatever you need for us to do in terms of data that you need to make a decision.
Well, we still have to vote. There's no question that we have to vote on the motion that's on the table right now.
What is the current status of this LSP? Is it elapsed status?
What was that question?
What is the current status of the LSP?
He is active as of today. And then after, if this petition is denied, he would go to lapsed.
Yes, I'm just wondering how because I know for COVID, we weren't accepting a lot of these petitions. It was just on precedent during the COVID period. I'm not sure what the difference is, I guess.
Well, I believe that whenever we denied those, there was a clear evidence that they had let courses pass by them, not taking them. In this case, and again, I'm taking the statements as true that there was no new that he hadn't already taken that would get him to the requisite credits. I thought we had already established that in an earlier meeting, and so if staff can just check that, I think Gail's motion is appropriate, and we can approve that. At least I will vote to approve it, subject to the staff checking.
Yeah, we could put that into the motion.
Mm-hmm.
Subject to confirming that there have been no DEP courses during his extension that he has not already taken. Then yes. I would make the motion that, or reiterate the motion that we approve temporary, it's called temporary, I believe, renewal of his license until the first DEP course, which we presume to be September or whatever.
I don't think you need the date, just the next course.
That's what I thought. I was fine without the date. But.
So then we might consider that we're going to see 8 or 9 other letters coming swiftly to the board for other people that let their licenses lapse because they didn't get the credit.
Well, they didn't apply. They wouldn't have applied for the 90-day extension. That's the critical piece. He applied for a 90-day extension that should have afforded him the opportunity to take the courses. That's what it means. But there weren't any for him to accomplish his objective.
So did we have others that were applied in April?
We did.
We did.
Yeah, we had 3 90-day extensions from April to July for the similar reasons.
For the exact same reason, for the 1 credit or one?
Might have been slightly more than 1, but they'd exhausted the DEP credits that they could take, and there weren't any more available. And I advised them that there were some new DEP course requests in front of the board, and that they'd be available hopefully in September and October. But they let their licenses lapse. They didn't file a petition.
The difference is that he made his petition and the others didn't. It's not unreasonable. We can only vote on what what we have before us, which is his request, not what other people might do.
I mean, all the board can do is basically present the information as we receive it for board action, deliberation board action. Those other individuals just let their license lapse. We have this one-off here case that the party moved forward with a petition, and that's why we're here where we are today.
I don't feel that we've been presented with a valid reason, and I think that we should hold to the regulations as written.
But there is a regulation that allows us to provisionally renew licenses. So that's the problem. I mean, I think it's not unreasonable. There's a provision in there for us to be able to do this. I do think it might have been done before, and in the past, where it was a situation where there were no DEP courses within the 90-day extension period.
Is it possible to check to see if we've done that before and hold? I mean, and just kind of make sure that we're not setting a precedent?
Well, we still, regardless of what we do,
Okay.
and we can put it off, but we still have to vote on the motion that's on the table.
So Gail,
That's a
based on that
motion.
situation, just to be, devil's advocate, if somebody gets all their technical credits, but, in the next round, they're missing 8 DEP credits. You can't get 8 credits in 3 months.
That's right. And so they,
Then we would, under this situation, we would grant them a waiver because now a precedent has been set. And they could take as long as they wanted to get those 8 credits until the first 8 credits are available.
I don't agree with you.
Maybe there's a difference between 8 credits and 1 credit, though.
And the difference,
Maybe not.
The difference is, the difference is that if somebody waits, doesn't get the DB credits, even if they are available, and then applies for a waiver, we should definitely deny them. But in this circumstance, the person had no opportunity to add an additional course.
Within 3 months. He had 3 years and 3 months.
Well, agreed.
If you go back, there weren't all that many DEP credits to take during the prior 3-year period. I know people did it, but there wasn't a lot of choice. You really had to get, my recollection is, and I don't want to say anything more because I'm not positive, but I believe it was tighter than usual in the 3 prior years to get DEP credits.
If I could chime in real quick, I know a lot of the discussion around these petitions usually revolved around somebody petitioning to get credits before applying for a 3-month extension. And usually the feeling was, if you're short a couple of credits, apply for the 90-day extension, because that was built into the regulations to take care of a lot of these things, especially if you're a few credits short. But that wasn't the case in this case. He actually applied for the 90-day extension. But I know in the past, the board has had this discussion where if someone is applying for a waiver at the end of their 3 years, they should make use of the 90-day extension to take care of that. And a lot of people don't.
I was going to say the same thing. I feel like most of our denials of waivers were at time of renewal where someone needed 1 or 2 credits and not after a 90-day extension. And I think we did do this in the past, as Gail has said, but I don't recall exactly.
I mean, if we wait, first of all, because he has a pending petition in front of the board, I feel like if we table it, he still gets to keep his status quo. By the time of the next board meeting, it'll effectively be the time of the next DEP credit, effectively. So, but I don't have a problem tabling it. That's fine. We just have to vote to table the motion. That has to be a vote on the motion that on the.
Well, there's a motion and a second. Doesn't that lead to a vote?
It did have a second at the time. We had a motion and a
Robert's
second,
rules here.
and so we have to vote. We can't, but we can't change, we can vote to table it. Table the motion, we could,
Just withdraw the motion.
Yeah, just withdraw.
That's what you want to do.
okay, but I don't want to withdraw the motion, so somebody, and I don't know if somebody else can. I don't know how that's done.
No. No, you have to withdraw it yourself.
Well, then we can vote on it and
Well,
vote it.
we can, one can move to table the motion.
That's what I think. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what,
yeah.
that's what.
Somebody else can
needs to
say
happen. Somebody
wants
can
to
move
table it.
Table the motion. And if that's what we want to do, that's what we can do, and vote on the tabling motion is what happens.
Yeah. Either way, we should move forward. We're wasting a lot of time here on
Somebody
this.
should do something.
I'm happy to introduce the motion to table the motion, if I said that correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll second that.
Yeah. So we can vote on the motion to table the motion and we're good.
Yes.
Okay. David, you have the list.
Patrick,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Kirk,
No,
Gail,
Yes, I'll vote to table the motion.
Kathy,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Amy is gone, and Greg.
Yes.
And just so the board has direction on, is there anything that you need from the board, any statistics or any kind of maybe even attorney review? I just want to, just have that direction if there's something for us to do, or it's sort of in the hands of the voting members.
I think
I
by
think we should
tabling the
have
motion,
an
we're making
attorney
all
review.
that moot.
Well, no, because it'll come up at the next board meeting, because the board meeting occurs before the
Oh,
the
right.
course happens. So my recommendation is just ask an attorney's opinion if we can do this, and see if you can find any indication, because we didn't have good minutes for so long. I don't know that you'll be able to find a record that has happened in the past, but if it were possible to find that, that would be the thing to find.
This is Patrick. I'll just say that we are relying a lot on your great memory, Gail, and at some point we won't be able to benefit from your memory because you won't be in a meeting. And I wonder if there is some mechanism for creating a table of things of decisions that could be precedents that we could go back and refer to at some point.
I think we should try. That's a big. I think we should try. Personally, I think it's something we could try to do, because there are these tricky points that that you're right. We're relying on memory because we don't have good minutes for such a long period of time.
One of the things you could do, then this might be a stopgap measure, but you could look at the agendas for the previous however many meetings, back to 2000 if you want to do the live meetings, back further than that if you want to do the meetings when you did them, in person, but look for instances where people filed and it's on the agenda, filed a waiver. Find out, we can maybe compile, okay, in the last 4 years, we had, 10 LSPs file waivers for license, extensions. And here were the reasons. They filed an extension for their original renewal, or they filed a waiver for after doing a 90-day. I mean, all that information should be in the agendas whenever anybody has applied for a waiver, and we could go back to those specific meetings and fast forward through the videos until we get to that that discussion on that waiver and see what the board has discussed and see what the waiver specifically was for. Was it a waiver like they were getting to their renewal date and hadn't done a 90-day, or, so forth. If that if that helps anybody.
So, yep, so that's a fine pathway, except somebody has to actually execute that. I'm taking that into advisement, the compilation of that database. But in the meantime, is there anything that on short order, if it's legal review with regards to if the general citation, for example, just trying to wrap my head around the next task here, 309 CMR 3.067, is that, for example, the next, for attorney review. So why don't we just then conclude by saying that the board is going to try to compile some information that hopefully is useful, including availing ourselves to council opinion, and we will be bringing this back in September.
Yeah, and can I just add to what Chris said? I think it wouldn't be a bad idea, sort of as a long-term goal, is to get that table created of all the waivers we've been presented with, the purpose of the waiver, and what the outcome has been.
Okay.
I mean, that's long-term, but I just think that's something that's really valuable for a record for the board to have.
Okay. Okay.
And
So
also
noted.
in terms of his current license, so he's going to stay active until the next board meeting when something might be decided.
Yeah, well, that's the consequence of this tabling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I just don't want to lose members, voting members. I'd like to, with your permission, just continue to move forward and close out on the next agenda item. Just the exam committee matters. We've already established that there's going to be affirmatively an exam. The proposal is to have an exam the first week of November. It would be held in Central Region. Natasha and I are working together with folks from Central Region and Chris, etc., just to make sure that we are ready to go as soon as we have more concrete information. But again, for candidates, just keep an eye out and start studying. There's going to be an exam that we will be holding again the first week of November. We may have 8 to 10 candidates. We need to drill down on the exact number, but more information to come. I just wanted to at least affirm that we are committed to moving with an exam the first week of November. It could be various days predicated on how many. Scheduling of the exam committee, just to establish that the exam committee members are Chris Borges, Gail, Greg McBride, John Fitzgerald, Mass DP, Northeast Region, David Austin, and Debbie. And because Debbie's resigned, I'm looking for a volunteer. This is again with regards to the exam committee. So if I could get a volunteer now, or if somebody's.
Did you mention Paul and Craig?
I thought Paul, didn't Paul go, at least Paul was at the last one.
Paul's on the committee, exam committee.
So the exam committee, I got the list from Chris Borges, and it's an historic one. I actually had Kathy Campbell, but Kathy confirmed that she was not part of the exam committee. So
no.
This is Greg. I don't remember ever volunteering for the exam committee, and I know I have never attended a meeting.
Right, because it's almost like a subcommittee that then reports out to the full board.
I understand. I just have never participated, and I don't remember volunteering for it.
Yeah, it was a while back. Definitely for sure pre-COVID, maybe as far as 4 years ago, 3 years ago was the last time we met.
No, we met during COVID.
No, we've had virtual meetings, and Craig and Paul both joined the committee.
I think so.
Correct. Yeah.
I think the last one, both Craig and Paul were there.
We were.
And it used to be Farouk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's try to get then the correct list. I have Chris Borges. I have Gail. I have Greg McBride, John Fitzgerald, David Austin, Debbie, I don't have Debbie. We don't have Debbie. Paul McKinley and Craig Ellis. Correct?
And Greg just said he wasn't. And
But
Greg
with respect, I would like to withdraw. I don't have the time for it.
Okay. Okay, so it sounds like we have enough members that we can then proceed with an exam committee meeting. I will be sending an email just to doodle poll to arrive at an exam committee meeting so we can formulate our next steps with regards to another version of exam. Thank you. Regulations committee report out. We already know we will be engaging by way of accepting any comments and also creating the subgroup. So that's been established. I will send an email out to ensure that we have that conversation, compiling, pulling together all of the available chapters, red line strikeout, and also including EEAIT, so we can get further guidance predicated on the various status, how they speak to the database business rules. I think that's really key and important. It will really dominate our reg rewrite, particularly in section number 2. All right, with that, David, if you could kindly provide us with a quick report out from continuing education.
Yeah, we met today and we approved 8 course offerings and 1 conference, and we'll meet again in September.
We have to list out the course offerings for the record for the board meeting because that's where the vote takes place.
The what meeting?
The continuing ed, you have to report out exactly what we did because it's in the board meeting. The vote is recorded for the continuing ed because it is a subcommittee. Even though we were all there, it's still considered a subcommittee until we change that and make it full committee, committee of the whole.
Right, there's a vote. There's a vote to accept
Recommendations.
all the findings and approvals of the committee, but I don't have to list off the 9 courses. I've never done that.
I think we
I've
are.
never done it.
No.
Okay.
I don't recall. I mean, I will yield.
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to be because the subcommittee was only a recommendation, and maybe you can just do it as the recommendations of the subcommittee. Yeah, maybe that's fine.
That's what it's always done. So someone make a motion, please.
I move we accept the recommendations of the Continuing Education Committee.
Second.
Okay, we have to go through the roll call, right?
Yep.
So Patrick?
Yes.
If it's a yes, Kirk?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Continuing Education Committee. I know we lost Jamie, but I'm wondering, excuse me, professional conduct, Kirk.
Yes. Write all this down. Well, we reviewed all the statuses of the complaints. That's all I have.
Yep. Many of those complaints have been stayed because we have the need for attorney, so we will follow up and make sure that any documents that are owed to the board, those are issued, and obviously ensure that attorney is assigned. Okay, moving forward, we're almost done. Thank you so much for your patience. Personnel and budget, we have already spoken about personnel. You will be the first to know as soon as we hire an attorney. I just wanted to touch on the budget. Basically, as you know, our governor has signed off on the budget across the Commonwealth. The LSP board has a budget that has been also approved by extension. and the total budget is $423,568. Wages and salary, employee benefits, and operating expenses are all included as part of that budget.
And can I just ask Millie, in the budget, does it include money for the exam, when we do a new exam for the psychometrician?
Yes, we have that. We have the funding under operating expenses.
Oh, good.
And I have the breakdowns if anyone is interested. I don't know, maybe the board, are you interested in breakdowns, or would you like for me to proceed?
No, I just cared about that one because I knew it might come up.
Okay, that should not be a problem based on what I'm seeing right here. Okay, LSP board member reappointments, that vacancy is going to be, excuse me, the reappointments. Right now, we appreciate your being part of the membership. No movement there. The board would like to continue, board staff would continue to ensure that this is in a really good place. We get traction. Your membership volunteerism is so appreciated. So it's staying status quo. And in fact, for Debbie, that will be updated on our website, and I will be sending notice so you're fully aware. Please spread the word. Future meetings, September 12th. I had a question with regards to your interest in holding an in-person meeting. Board members, please contact me. Let me know your thoughts on that. We will always have hybrid as an option. But again, if there is interest in that, please let me know. And also we're exploring other meeting formats, platforms that lend themselves to having instantaneous comments, public commentary, rather than the chat type in chat feature. So that's at play right now. I'm exploring that with Victoria. All right, before we close, any comments from the board members? Thoughts?
I'm sorry, I had to step away, but is the September meeting virtual?
The September meeting is virtual right now, unless you would like for us to arrange an in-person meeting. So I look forward to your thoughts on that. And as I stated, we would always have a hybrid option, even if it's in person. For those that cannot attend, we can have hybrid connection.
Yeah, along those lines, I'm meeting next week with Victoria and Sandy Rabb about exploring moving from GoToWebinar to Teams. But that's one of the things that we need to explore, so that if we do have a hybrid type meeting, I can go to the meeting, set stuff up, and we can actually have remote public involvement, but also maybe in-person public involvement, and or continue any way the board wants to move. I always think it's nice to offer the options that people can remote in, but it would be nice to, get back out there again.
Yeah, it's strictly up to the board members. The board is amenable, as you heard. We are already currently exploring that. So I just need to hear from board members so that we have a little bit more direction how the board can work with you. So that's all I have. I am adjourning this board meeting August 17th, 2023 at 3:07 p.m. And I look forward to seeing you at a future meeting September 12th. Thank you so much for all your involvement, assistance, and engagement.
Thank you, Melly.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.